Hey there guys, I am the Caffeinated Dad, content creator here for Guild Wars 2. And if you are clicking on this video, then you understand that Guild Wars 2 is a big game. There is 10 years worth of content following right behind where you stand right now. So there's quite a bit to get into. So I'm going to talk about your new player experience and everything you need to know to get started in this game. This is the complete beginner's guide to Guild Wars 2. Now, at certain points, more diverse topics that require a bit more explanation, I have included cards in the top right of the screen, which will teleport you to other videos that I've created. At any point, feel free to jump off and go learn more about that particular topic. However, I'm going to do my best to give you the basic rundown of Guild Wars 2, of its endgame, as well as where you stand and what you can do. Anyway, folks, let's get started. Alright, so first, let's go ahead and go over the 5 playable races for Guild Wars 2. You have Human, you have Norn, you have Azura, you have Sylvari, and you have Char. Now, choosing any of these does not give an inherent advantage, as you see in other MMORPGs, where they might have more critical strike damage, or have more HP. That is not the case here in Guild Wars 2. The differences between the races really just boil down to their individual stories, as well as their animations, and a few skills that are racially locked. And typically those skills are of less value when compared to the profession skills from your class. So when it comes to choosing your race that you want to play one that you think is fun. Personally, I like either Human, Norn, or Char. However, Azura and Sylvari are unique as well. And now we have the 9 playable classes of Guild Wars 2. These are broken down into 3 different sections: heavy armor, medium armor, and light armor, also known as soldier class, adventure class, or scholar class. Starting out here with the Guardian is more of a defensive magic melee combatant, although they do have some ranged options. They function fantastically in group content, as well as being pretty sufficient on their own. Warriors are fantastic on their own or in group play. They are incredibly violent and have access to the most amount of weapon capabilities than any other class. The Revenant is a part of any of the expansion purchases and is not available for the core game. The Revenant is unique in and of itself, as they can summon legends of the past to do their bidding. However, the Revenant can only choose 2 of these legends at any given time. The Engineer, out of all 9 of these classes, are the only ones who don't necessarily have magic. They only have intelligence. For the most part, they are a ranged capable class, either utilizing the rifle or the pistol. And what's unique about them is they use toolkits, which change their active weapon skills based off of the situation, such as a flamethrower, grenades, or even a mortar kit. The Thief is your evasive, shadowy character. The Thief has a wide variety of weapons, but their most popular being sword and dagger. They are incredibly elusive, also incredibly frail, so the high skill ceiling is there. And lastly, we have the Ranger, which of course is your stereotypical archer class. However, that's about the end of that normalcy. They summon pets into combat and a wide variety of nature magic to defend themselves as well as their allies. The Mesmer is probably one of the most unique classes in this game across any MMORPG that I've ever seen. They summon illusions to do their bidding and to attack foes, but at their command, these illusions can then be shattered, dealing incredible damage, offering damage immunity to the Mesmer, or distracting enemies. So a very unique, high skill ceiling class. The Necromancer is another fun one, and arguably one of the more popular in Guild Wars 2. They use the power of death and destruction to wreak havoc on their foes. The most unique aspect specifically of the Necromancer is their Death Shroud, where they enter in a specialized form which deals high damage, controls enemies, and even acts as an extra health bar. And lastly, the Elementalist. The Elementalist summons all 4 of the primal element forces of Tyria, so air, water, earth, and fire, to devastate foes and to help them in combat. The Elementalist, however, is a very versatile class and can fit a number of different situations, albeit the skill ceiling is quite a bit high, for the sheer fact that you have to balance out all 4 elements to survive. For this example, we will go ahead and choose the Norn Warrior. You'll be able to customize your character however you wish to see fit, including body tattoos, changing their physique, changing their height, and any number of characteristics that you'd like to change for them. Or you could just randomize it and see what you get. The next few selections are going to change how your character's main story is. Every character gets a baseline story that appears on increment levels of 10. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, which is the baseline story for the core game. So as you are going through these selections, choose what you think would be best. At the end of the day, it doesn't necessarily make the world of difference. It just makes your experience unique. Once you have your character ready to go, you get this generated story, and then you are good to go. And once you are here, you are set into the very first starter instance for your character. Now, this is a zone that is only specified to you, and you'll only ever see other players who are in this particular instance. Before we get into the main part of this story, let's get a better view of your UI. So up here at the top left is essentially your main menu for everything related to your character as well as your account. Game menu, which allows you to adjust the settings, but more importantly, what I'd like to point out is the control options where you are able to manipulate the hotkeys. Very, very important. Next to it is your contacts and looking for group. So you'll have a few different lists that you are able to take a look at. So you have your friends list, you're looking for a group, and then followers, if you have anyone who's interested in whether or not you are online, as well as the blocked accounts tied to your specific account. Now, the way that we communicate in Guild Wars 2, and especially adding friends and adding guildmates, is this specific tag which is tied to your account. Now remember this code, as this is something that a lot of people will ask, especially if you are interested in joining a guild. They'll ask for your specific tag. And then that also ties into this party option, which is just below it, where you can enter in this information into this party tab and then hit invite, and you'll be able to create a group with that. Speaking of this party tab, you can select join if you wanted to join a specific person's group. So we're targeting Balthasar, which is hilarious, and then hit join. And it'll send an invitation to them to join your group. And also you can use this button here to leave a party if you were in a group that you no longer wish to be a part of. Then here we have Create Squad. What this is very similar to, if you're familiar with World of Warcraft, which is a raiding party, where it has a number of different slots. 1 to 10, you'll be able to see all the current players within your squad. The Mentor tab is not something that, as a new player, I would recommend quite yet, but you can look for these particular features, which is this apple right here. What this does is this shows all other players on this map that you are a mentor, that you are willing to help out and answer any particular questions that they may have on the game. So when you pan out, you'll see this little tab that says Caffeinated Warrior, but the Mentor tab right there, the red marker. And if you wish to turn it off, just turn it. If you have any questions, look for those particular types of players. They'd be willing to help. Moving on to the hero panel. This is where you'll see everything that's tied to your specific hero as well as your account. Going all the way down, and we will cover this more once we actually exit the story mission that we are in. First, you have your equipment, which shows all usable equipment for your character all the way across. You have 6 armor slots, 4 weapon slots, a backpack, 2 accessories, 2 rings, and an amulet. There's also underwater weapons and headgear. And if you have any equipment in your inventory, that will populate right here, allowing for you to be able to switch back and forth fairly easily. Next, you have wardrobe, where you can change how your character looks based off of the skins that you've unlocked. You can add new armor combinations, really cool features, or you could completely randomize it. Now, do note that these require transmutation charges, where you can get these from a number of sources, but the main source is through PvP. And anytime that you change one of these, any of these armor slots into something else, it costs 1 transmutation slot. Now, if you do reach the end game and you collect a legendary weapon or a legendary piece of gear, then from there, you don't necessarily need to use any transmutation charges. You can change the look of that particular piece of gear at will. And also, if you are interested, you can purchase them from the Black Lion Trading Company, which is the in-game cash shop. Next, we have outfits, which of course cover any of the store-bought options that are available. Some are just given to you, but these are unique skins that are essentially tied directly to your particular account and allow you to be able to change into them essentially at will. And then just for you to turn it off, hide and unhide. Next, we have dyes. Dyes do not cost any gold or any resources to change, and these can be changed at will freely. There's plenty of dyes for you to collect, as well as a number of free ones that are made available. Gliders are a part of the Heart of Thorns expansion, but you can select the different skins that are available for the glider. That's my favorite. Mounts are tied to the Path of Fire expansion. There are quite a few mounts that you can collect, but just note that you can change these skins at will as well. Regular sky scale, winter sky scale. Fishing is one of the End of Dragons features, and it requires you to have a fishing rod, which allows you to fish out of certain pools that are found all across Tyria, as well as End of Dragon zones. Skiffs are another part of the End of Dragons features, which is a boat which essentially functions the same way as a skimmer does. However, this boat allows you to stand up and have a few other members of your party or friendlies to be able to fish off of the same boat at the same time. Novelties are certain things that are unique to your account and character and can be purchased or farmed or found in a various amount of places, and you can select which ones you want to utilize. The J-Bot is another feature for End of Dragons, and this has a number of different things that it is capable of doing and helping you in open world as well as traversing some of the End of Dragons maps. Miniatures work the very same way as they do in many other games, whereas you have a little non-combat companion that follows you around and just looks pretty cool. My favorite is Mini Tequaddle the Sunless. Why is he dripping? Finishers are unique to Guild Wars 2, especially in player versus player or world versus world. When a player goes into down state, they are essentially in a weakened state. They can still damage, they can still crowd control or move, depending on the class. However, once that health bar is finished off, they die for real. When you are playing against a downed foe, you can utilize a finisher which executes them immediately. And there's numbers of different finishers that you can utilize, and they all just look kind of fun. And lastly, mail carriers. These are essentially how you get in-game mail, and they're mainly particle effects. It just looks pretty cool. If you are interested in learning a little bit more of your statistics as well as your gear, I've included links in the top right as cards to videos that I have made on those particular topics. Taking a look at the training tab, which is now available for those who are of high enough level, I've switched over to my Elementalist to show a more in-depth version of what you will be seeing. These are broken down into 3 different sections: skills, specializations, as well as elite specializations. So skills are tied to your very core abilities that you can utilize. These can also be populated down here, so you can select what abilities you wish to utilize at any given time. You can swap these freely and do not require to be in any specific place to change them. However, you need to be out of combat to be able to switch your skills. As you get hero points from these nodes that are all around, you can start unlocking specific skills and abilities. As you get higher, you can start to unlock some of your specializations, which are your trait lines. These are tied to your specific build and capabilities. These can also be seen here under the build tab, where you'll be able to choose and utilize the individual skills depending on what situation you are in. There's a lot of different builds out there, so I recommend taking a look at what you think would be the most fun. And then lastly, down here, you have your training for your elite specializations. Now, these are tied to each of the 3 expansions that are available for Guild Wars 2. So you have your Heart of Thorns expansion, you have your Path of Fire, as well as your End of Dragons. Each one of these adds a new weapon to your arsenal that you are capable of using, as well as a number of different skills and unique trait lines. They usually also, with the elite specializations, change how your core mechanics happen. And next you have your story missions. Now, your story mission, your personal story, will take you all the way through the core of Tyria. Then you have your Living World seasons, your expansion, more Living World series, expansion, more Living World series, and then even more expansions. The expansions and the Living World series do cost money. However, you can purchase them with gems and unlock these specific stories for 200 gems per instance. And typically, they have anywhere between 5 to 8 different missions that are tied to specific parts of that Living World season. And these also take you to new places that are not necessarily available to the core game, only once you have purchased the specific Living World season. Next, you have your crafting, which this is tied specifically to whatever crafting series or capabilities that you have tied to that specific character. But for now, we won't go into too much depth there. Next is your achievements tab. You'll be able to see and track all the specific and unique achievements that are tied to the game, as well as seeing how many points you have earned and what rewards you will get once you have reached specific endgame achievement levels. Every day that you log into Guild Wars 2, you are given a gift. A lot of these just are basic crafting materials, bags of experience, luck, laurels, and mystic coins. Once you log in 30 days, you'll be given an option of some great crafting materials, as well as increasing the amount of gold that you find by 2% on any character on your account. All of the achievements are broken down into specific sections and zones. Take some time and look at all the different achievements that you can earn for any given specific zone. If you're looking for something specific that you want to find, you can utilize this search tab right here. And also directly above it, you can change any of the titles that you have earned to something different. And then lastly, we have the Masteries tab. Masteries are a system that once you have reached endgame and you have hit a certain amount of experience, you'll be able to continue earning unique features that are tied to specific zones. So Central Tyria, Heart of Thorns, Path of Fire, Icebrood Saga, or End of Dragons. Now, mastery points are required for purchasing any of these particular tabs, which are also shown as resources down here that you can earn experience on. Please note that you have to be in that specific zone, earning experience in that zone to move that particular tab, which makes sense. These mastery points that you need to find, however, tend to be few and far between. Next, you have your inventory. The inventory in Guild Wars 2 tends to be a little bit throttled if you are on a trial account. However, if you have the full account, then you'll have shared inventory slot, I believe only one if you're just starting out, as well as a number of empty bag slots. You can, however, purchase more at the cost of 400 gems, which is the gem store currency, the cash shop currency. There's a number of different ways that you can manipulate the things here in your bag, but the shared inventory slots, typically I suggest having something that is usable by all classes or all characters across your account. The only other thing that I'll make note of here for the inventory tab is this particular button right here, deposit all materials. As you go through Guild Wars 2, you will get a lot of crafting materials and they will populate and cover your bag completely. What's unique is that you can press this one button and it transfers it all to your specific bank where it can keep all of your resources that you have gathered. You have a baseline of 250 crafting material that you may find. Next is mail, can be sent in-game to other characters, where as well as getting in-game mail from characters from a part of story missions who are interested in you continuing a quest or asking for your help. The guild tab is unique to every single individual guild, and you can be a part of a total of 5 guilds at any given time. In here, you'll be able to see all the players who are on. Remember the ones that I told you to remember? You can also find other players here. But for now, that's all we'll cover. The in-game shop is also tied to the trading post. So the in-game shop has all the unique items that you can take a look at, that you can purchase. Usually these have unique skins or certain features, convenience more often than not, convenience and cosmetics. However, if you don't wish to spend real life money buying gems, where you can redeem that code right here if you did buy a gem card, you can use the currency exchange. The currency exchange trades gold to get gems. but then also you can use gems to purchase gold. A lot of experienced players will suggest just using gold to purchase the gems required for anything from the trading post. However, some players don't feel the need to save up and grind that much gold. But from here, you can purchase everything that's on the gem store just by playing the game. The trading post is where you can sell and view a lot of the individual items that you are looking to purchase. And then if you were searching for a specific item, you could search it through here and find that particular item available for you. Down here you have your chat feature where you will see the other guilds that you are a part of as they are speaking and as they are sending messages, as well as local things that are happening near you. You can also type in /map or /m and talk to all characters on this specific map, this unique story. Up here in the top right, you have your main story as well as any achievements that you are particularly tracking. So specifically, the Great Hunt is the story that we are currently on. When I highlight this and this arrow follows, you can see where I need to go to complete this story, or at least do the next step. And then down here is the mini map, which you can zoom in and zoom out just by using your scroll wheel. Down here is your main utility bar. Now this will look different depending on what class and what profession you are currently playing. You always have 5 weapon skills, a heal skill, 3 utility skills, and then 1 elite skill. Your health bar is listed here, as well as your dodge endurance. In this game, in combat, you can dodge roll. You could either double tap the movement keys, or you can press a specific button that you have keybound to. When a dynamic event starts, you'll see it up in the top right, directly below where you have your either achievements or your main story. It'll also be highlighted with an orange circle and what you need to do. And once the event is over, you will either get bronze, silver, or gold, depending on your participation in that event. It also usually gives you quite a bit of experience. Once you've completed your story, you will be now put into the open world with the rest of the player population. When you complete a mission, you will usually be given coin, experience, as well as some form of gear, either gear bags or a new weapon. And when you get enough experience, which is this bar down here, you will level up, and it will appear over here above your minimap. You can right-click this, which will pop up and tell you what the new rewards are and go over some of the individual things that you have with quick little pop-ups. And when you hit accept, it'll tell you what you're going to get in the next coming levels. So now that you are here and out in the open world version, you can scroll out using your map and just see how big Guild Wars 2 is. And some of these sections are broken off into either Living World seasons or expansions. Quarteria is this part of the map right here. For the Heart of Thorns expansion, it features mostly maps over here. For the Path of Fire expansion, this features maps right through here. And for End of Dragons, you have to scroll all the way down to see Cantha and what is included there. You can also utilize this down here to navigate quickly to individual places. So this is Quarteria, Heart of Thorns, Cantha, or Path of Fire. So we are starting down here. And when you're looking at this map, you have a bunch of new features that are located here. The world completion shows you how many of these individual markers, all of Tyria, that you have either unlocked or unlocked, and it'll give you a percentage bar for here. This is important when trying to collect legendary gear, which is for another time. What I want you to pay attention to is this one here, which is the specific map that you are on, which is Wayfarer Foothills for the Norn starting area. There are a total of 5 individual markers that you are following. So tasks, or renowned hearts, which are located here with a little heart figure. Hero challenges, or hero point challenges. By completing these, you earn hero points. Hero points are used to purchase new skills as well as new trait lines, which play into your builds. Then we have waypoints, which allow you to fast travel across great distances as long as you have those particular zones unlocked. Vistas, which offer some great experience as well as more thematic view of that particular area, as well as points of interest, which as you go through the map, you will unlock them. You'll also notice that you have 2 more tabs open up here available for you to utilize, which is the World versus World tab and the PvP tab. Now, Guild Wars 2 is unique as PvP can be accessed at level 2. I'll explain this more later. World versus World is essentially the Wild West of player versus player. You are capable of fighting other servers and other places in castle sieges, small skirmishes, and even large group zergs fighting one another. If you have any mounts, they will appear here for those who have the Path of Fire expansion. Down here, you can choose which novelties you want to utilize. And then over here, you have your main points for the End of Dragon story, which is fishing, skiff, or even your personal waypoint. When you don't have a story mission active, you will see this up here, which is requesting you to go and take a look at various things. This is now asking me to go and talk to this scout who will show me the local area and unveil it on the map so that I can see what's going on. So he's telling me to go to a Renowned Heart where I can earn some experience, or another Renowned Heart where I can earn some experience. And now that I have gone ahead and finished that, I am now being told to go over to the Renowned Heart to honor the Spirit of the Raven. Now, for the most part, Guild Wars 2 does not require you to do anything. You can go and play and do whatever you need to enjoy the game. So keep that in mind. Okay, so let's go ahead and review combat in Guild Wars 2. When you are in combat, your endurance bar here, it glows yellow. And what this does is this indicates that you are in fact in combat with something. Any baseline buff that you have is going to appear here, as well as any condition that you have is going to appear above as well. Now, each one of these buffs and conditions do something different, and I've actually created a specific video for this covering every single one of them, which is viewed up here in the top right. Now, when you are in combat, you will see that you have the floating numbers above the character that you are hitting. So when I am striking an enemy, and that initial damage is going through, you will see it pop up here. When you have the red splat above, it means that it is a critical hit. And this number that's popping up here, which also has the flame emblem next to it, is indicating that one of my conditions, my burning condition, is also dealing damage. If I were dealing confusion damage, it would pop up here, or poison, or in this case, bleeding. These conditions vary, however, I've also included in that video a brief discussion of all of their different capabilities. While in combat, many classes are capable of swapping weapons, meaning that they can utilize 2 sets of weapon skills at any given time. However, for my class, which is the Elementalist, more specifically I'm playing the Catalyst, which is the Elementalist's elite specialization, you do not have the capability of swapping weapons while in combat. This is also true for the Engineer, and the Engineer makes up for this by utilizing weapon kits. The Elementalist does not swap weapons because we swap attunements, which gives us a number of different abilities, 20 active weapon abilities for any given weapon. After you've swapped these weapons in combat, there will be a brief cooldown where you cannot swap back to it again. Many of your abilities across the board do extra effects depending on what that particular skill is. Now, I suggest taking some time and reading each one of these weapon skills to understand really what they do and where their strength is. Whenever you have a weapon skill that deals damage, that indicates how much strike damage that will happen when you utilize that weapon. And typically, if they are including a condition such as Surging Flames here is including burning, it'll show you how long that particular condition will last on the target and how much damage it will deal. This plays more into your gear choices of how you can improve either your damage or your condition damage, which I've included a link up in the top right for that particular build video as well. And keep in mind, whilst you are attacking, you can no longer change skills and abilities while you are in combat. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about some of the endgame modes that are available. First, there is Open World. This is where you are able to enter in specific maps and just engage with everything that this game has to offer. There's an equal amount of small, lower level maps as there are endgame maps, which are the ones that are marked with level 80. However, most of the core Tyria maps, which are the leveling maps, also have great endgame boss events that are unique to those specific zones. There's always something to do in open world. Next, I would like to talk about Fractals of the Mists. Fractals of the Mists are specific dungeon-like maps that have a unique boss, a unique instance that are required for a group of players to enter. Now, you'll see your personal fractal level here, as well as your personal agony resistance here. I've included a video going over the fractals in the top right of the screen. Next, we have strikes. Strike missions are small instanced PvE content, usually formed with 10 players. You can find the strike missions located either here in Icebrood Saga or down here in End of Dragons. These strikes have one boss that require you to fight, as well as having a number of mechanics for that individual boss to kill. Next, we have raids. Raids were introduced in the Heart of Thorns expansion. Raids offer some of the hardest endgame content that can be utilized. However, it is also one of the most fruitful, as being able to get legendary armor via that method. Again, that was covered in the gear video that I discussed earlier. Next, you have PvP. Starting at level 2, you'll be able to enter the PvP lobby here. Once in here, you can enter in player versus player combat. You also have access to every single elite specialization that you have, as well as all of your skills completely unlocked to enter structured PvP. And this is because PvP in Guild Wars 2 is normalized, meaning that it doesn't matter what gear that you have in open world. All that matters is that you make these particular selections, which everyone has access to. I've included a video up here in the top right which talks about Guild Wars 2 PvP and how you can get started. The other form of endgame PvP is World vs. World. World vs. World being the Wild West of endgame PvP and has some of the most dedicated followers in the game. World vs. World is essentially capture specific zones and defeat specific bosses that expand your group's territory. And this is on an oscillating schedule, and this is the only thing that is different about your server choice. Depending on which server you choose, changes which specific team you are fighting for. World v World is a lot of fun, and it requires its own specific video. However, I do not have that one currently available. I suggest if you are interested in open world PvP, then you give this mode a shot. There is so much that you can do in this game, and the world is so big that I don't know if I can truly put it into one specific video to cover everything that you would need to know about this game. But hopefully this video has given you a place to start. If you are a new player and you're looking to avoid some critical mistakes, I suggest clicking this video here. Stay caffeinated, folks.